Hey everyone, this is the first in the actual review of these cards. Let me get my mouse in there. This is actually the first Planeswalker I ever got, played with, and used, and still use to this day. And it's one of my personal favorites, not just because it's a giant lion person and I like kitty cats. This is Ajani Goldmane. He's a white Planeswalker. The sun symbols represent that he's a white Planeswalker. He's relatively cheap to play. This is like an average cost, like 3 to 4 to 5 usually. There are more expensive ones, and I will point out when they're kind of on the expensive side. But this one's like a 4 mana creature, basically. Well, 4 mana Planeswalker. He comes in with the average loyalty amount 4. He's a pretty standard Planeswalker. And by the way, this is from an M11 set, which is like a core set, like they release one every year for this is like a weird thing with Magic, to get off track for a second, is they released M14 and it's still 2013. What? I never understood that. I still don't. Can someone explain that to me? Same with cars. Why do they do that? Can we finish this year first before we start doing the 2014 stuff? Anyway, well, I guess in this case they're counting the core sets rather than... So maybe it makes more sense? I don't know. But, this is a pretty standard Planeswalker. You got the name, you got the picture that sticks out a little bit from the frame, if you notice. A lot of them do this with, certain parts of the image. You have to take a close look with some of them, though. And he has the plus ability, minus ability, and a nuclear option, although his kind of average. I'll explain. First is his first ability. Remember that whole gain life, heal yourself thing I mentioned in the intro? This is the gain life. He heals you for 2 life. You start with 20, so if you get him out, you're still at 20 life, you get 22 life. You can actually go over 20. And I'm notorious for that. One of the reasons why I love playing him. He's so cool. His second ability is... This one's actually helped me a couple of times. I should explain something. When you use a creature to attack, it has a front number... it has a fraction where the loyalty counter would... Where this would be a fraction. It would be we'll say 1-1 for the sake of argument, because it's like the average. So it has 1 attack, 1 defense, meaning if something with an attack of 1 hits it, it dies, 1 or greater, obviously. And if something with a defense of 1 gets hit by it, that dies. I'm noting how many of these creatures have 1-1. Yeah, a lot of creatures die when they hit right into each other, but it's usually worth it. This one gives a +1/+1 counter, which means it increases the attack and defense, which means the 1/1 would become a 2/2. If you do this with a boost deck, which is decks that boost creatures a lot, you're going to be doing a lot of math. It's going to drive you crazy, but it's worth it. And creatures usually tap to attack, and they can't block if they're tapped. Vigilance prevents that problem. You attack and you don't tap, is basically what vigilance means. End of turn means it's a temporary thing, but that means on your turn, if you use the -1 ability to boost a creature up, you can attack someone with it if it's not throwing up or something. Summoning sickness is what it's called. It means you can't use it right off the bat. Haste prevents that, but obviously this doesn't cause that. But if it doesn't have summoning sickness or it has haste, you can put a 1/1 on it instead of boosting a Johnny up 1. And you can throw it at someone and it won't tap. So you can then use the 1/1 for a defensive boost too. This is a typical, you can use either ability right away when you get a Johnny out. You could obviously use the +1 ability right off the bat and boost himself up. But you can use the minus ability as well. This is also where the nuke ability is not usable right away. You need a couple of turns. You need 2 turns to boost him and 1 turn to actually use it. His nuclear ability is interesting. It's good if you're desperate for a creature. You get an avatar creature whose attack and defense or power and toughness as they call it in the card, is equal to your life total. Meaning, let's say you are at 24 life because of the 2 boost prior, and you don't boost another time, and you basically just want to get the creature out, and you're going to end up killing Ajani. You use that, you have a 24/24 creature. That's an instant kill if your friends haven't been healing up too. Now, I will point out, I don't use this until he's boosted up 1 more at least, because I like the healing ability, and this gets stronger the more you heal. So, yeah. It's usually a good idea with Planeswalkers to try not to kill them right off the bat, unless you're really desperate, or it's toward the end of the game, and you know if you don't do this, you're going to die. At least that's how I personally play. There are times where nuking the Planeswalker is actually useful, and I will point to the ones where it's like give or take, and ones where you just nuke. You're gonna nuke them anyway, so don't even bother boosting them up anymore. But overall, he's actually a very good Planeswalker, especially if you're a beginner at the game. He's very useful, especially with the healing ability. That can save your neck a couple of times. But he's not targeted because he's not that powerful with the nuclear option. The nuke option is what everyone looks for when they're thinking, oh, should I attack this thing or not? If he's on the field and there's, like, other more dangerous cards on the field, he's safe. No one's gonna go after him. And all you have to worry about is, well, can I get him up in time and get the thing? Do I need to use a boost? Basically, you just have to manage him, and that's it. Now, of course, you could run into the dick player that decides, oh, I'm going to kill Ajani instead. But that's when everyone at the table just yells at him and tells him he's an idiot. Especially when there are worse cards to deal with. So that's my review of Ajani. He's one of my personal favorites to use. The way I play, I'm mainly a healer to myself, so there you go. Although I am branching out and doing other things, I've built a pretty kick-ass Boros deck, if I do say so myself. My poor friend didn't expect that haste. That battalion. I'm so mean. Anyway. But for the most part, he's a very good Planeswalker to use as a beginner if you're a healing player. And you can get his nuke off fairly quickly because, 2 turns and then boom, you can do it. That's actually a good thing if you're desperate for a creature and no one's really targeting you. And that second ability has saved my neck. To this day, I'm notorious for the Goat's Victory. And that ability let me do it. And the funny thing is, my friends couldn't draw the cards to get the thing they needed. I'm such an evil little thing. Well, I'll try to release this, every Sunday. But if I have to go somewhere, I'll try to release it at least that week, so you guys get it. But I should point out that if I finish this up before a new set comes out, or if the new set has repeat Planeswalkers, there's going to be hiatuses due to that. But until then, I will talk to you later. Bye!